Hi, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about how to make sure you know what is the correct amount to put in a syringe if you've just switched to a compound semaglutide or Trizepatide like I have. And believe you me, I spent a sleepless night this past week trying to figure out if I had taken the right amount. And indeed, I had not. So let's start from the beginning and figure out how to know how much of the medication that you received should you actually be pulling in your syringe. Now, let me give you a little bit of history. I started on Mounjaro about 12 weeks ago, 10 or 12 weeks ago, and had been on the brand named product Mounjaro for the first 8 weeks. I had a great amount of success, was very happy with it. I lost 10.5 pounds in those 8 weeks and ran into the shortage where I just could not get my medication anywhere. My pharmacy that I use all the time couldn't get it. I called every pharmacy within a 5 or 10 mile radius that I could find. No one had any. So I decided to make the move to using a compounding pharmacy to get my medication. And I went through the company Fridays, and I'll put that link below. So as those of you who've been on the brand name meds know, when you previously got your medication, it came in a pre-filled injectable type of pen. And that's one of the reasons why from the very beginning, I opted to spend more money to have that method, because I do pay out of pocket for this, rather than going to a compounding pharmacy or a compounding site where the medication is clearly less expensive. But the whole thing about having to draw up the medication out of the vial into the syringe, it certainly wasn't something that I'm comfortable with at all. And I've got to believe that many of you out there are not either. So I did resist. But again, with the shortage, I had no choice. And in order to stay on this program, which has been working really well for me, I decided to go the compounding method. So I called up, I did all my interviews online, had conversations, got my prescription. It was filled out of a pharmacy in Florida, sent to my house, and got my meds. Now, I was very anxious to take the shot because I had been now almost 2 weeks without the medication, and I was feeling the effects wearing off. The first week, I sort of maintained that same kind of feeling. I was getting very full very quickly, but into that second week, most of whatever the benefits I was receiving from the medication had completely worn off. I was hungry again. I was thinking about food again, which, P.S., I never thought I had food noise until I started this medication and I realized how much I really do think about food. But anyway, fast forward, I get the medication and it comes in a bag. You get a couple of syringes. Mine had 10, and my medication that came in this box, and I'll open it up and show you. If you're not familiar, it comes in a little vial like this. And it has on the box the dosing instructions, which says inject 0.5 ml subcutaneously once per week. Now, I am or was on 5 milligrams of Mounjaro. So I now said, oh, what does this mean? How much do I don't really know how much to put in here. So besides the fact that I still wasn't that thrilled about that I was going to have to do this myself. So I started watching a bunch of YouTube videos because, when you don't know stuff, that's what we do, right? We go to YouTube, and ran across a video from the Countess of Shopping, who I have been following since the beginning of my journey. And she's got a lot of great tips and tricks and information just about the whole semaglutide, Trizepatide brand name versus compounding. She has a lot of good information there, and I'll put a link up to her site as well. But she had also just switched to a compound, which she also was not that happy in doing. But again, we've all been faced with this shortage. And so when I saw what she said she was using for her dosing, and she takes a higher doses than I do, I really started to question how much I should take. But I looked at the needle, I looked at my meds, and I said, okay, 5 mils, it must be this much. So that you could see the needles marked 10 to 100. And I was like, okay, if I take 5, it's just this much. So I drew 5, I injected 5, used my abdomen, and I'm like, this is a piece of cake. It was so easy, I could do it. But I was still questioning whether that dosage was right, because I don't know, somewhere in my heart of hearts, I didn't believe I was taking the right amount. And so I watched, I don't know, 30 videos on how to inject, what's a millimeter, how much to put. It was out of control. At about 2 o'clock in the morning, I got up, got my meds, because now I had a sneaking suspicion that what I needed to take was 50. I can't remember how I came to that conclusion, which, by the way, was the correct amount. I even took the vial out because I thought, well, there's not a lot of this thing isn't full, so it doesn't seem like there's a lot in here. I actually, in the middle of the night, drew 50 mils into this syringe just to see how much was left in the vial. And I was like, oh, there actually is a lot left in this vial. I think I took the wrong amount. So it just so happened the next day I had a doctor visit, and I brought my little syringe to the doctor with me and chatted with him about what I was doing and confirmed that indeed, based on my script, based on what this syringe contains, which is 100 units or 1 mil, 1 mil, that my script is for 0.5 mils, so half a mil, and I would indeed take 50. So since I had already taken 5 the day before, I went home and drew up 45 and then inserted that dose, which is indeed the correct dose. But I just wanted to share this all with you because like most of you, or like most of us, we don't live in the medical world, right? I am really not dosing myself ever. So I was really unsure as to if what I was taking was the right dosage, and indeed I was wrong. So I just want to let you all know that the struggle is real. And if you struggled, the sun is moving, you can see the sunlight changing here. If you struggled with how much to take, you're not the only ones. And if you're going to be new to switching out from the injectable type pen and going to a compound where you will be required to pull your dose, please, if you have any questions, call the prescribing pharmacy. They'll be happy to tell you based on the syringe you received, because there are different syringes. There are different volumes in syringes. They may all be subcutaneous, which is what we're using, but the quantities may be different, and the concentration of your meds may be different as well. So call the dosing pharmacy. They can definitely help you. Go to your own local pharmacy. I'm sure the pharmacist will be happy to help you on how much you should draw on the syringe. But just don't feel that you're alone in this. If you questioned how much to use, many of us have questions. So it's better to err on the side of caution. Go seek a professional, a medical prescriber, a pharmacist, or again, call the pharmacy if you got yours from an online compounding pharmacy, and they'll be able to tell you, right? You want to be able to take the right amount. You don't want to take too much. You want to take your correct dosage. So just wanted to check in with all of you on that, let you know that you're not alone if you struggled. And yeah, so good luck on your journey. Mine is continuing. I'm back on meds now after being off for 2 weeks, and the compound seems to be working fine. So yeah, we'll check in pretty soon and see how we're going and talk about some other things as well. Thanks all. Have a great day. Bye-bye.